First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory be to the Heavenly Father and His Son, facing towards the east. Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone. Shalawam to the Lord, so for elect. The names that we just called upon in the beginning is the true names of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and the Lashawan Kadash, the Paleo Hebrew. Once again, Yahawah equals He is, He exists. Yahawashi equals He saves, He delivers, and Rekah Kadash equals a spirit that's holy, a spirit that's set apart, right? That's in the Paleo Hebrew, the ancient Hebrew, the proper language. Okay, when you call upon your powers, you want to call upon your powers using those names. Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rekah Kadash. Okay, now this lesson is going to be another addition to the Kings of the World. All right, this is part 4. And it's going to be based upon the Fed. Okay, and the Fed is what you know is the Federal Reserve, which at the end of this video, basically in this whole thing, you're gonna figure out it's just a central bank. That's all it is, disguised as a Federal Reserve. That's all it is, because really the American population during that time was opposed to a central bank, so they gave them the Fed, and it's the same thing, but they ate it up, right? And you had people that was opposed to it back then, but a lot of those people died on the Titanic. Okay, so I got this book, and I got a couple videos, couple articles, stuff. This book right here is entitled "The Undercover Economist." Zoom out a little bit. The Undercover Economist Strikes Back: How to Run or Ruin an Economy by Tim Harford. And it's got some good information in here, which is like, the system. It really just exposes the system because it's really fragile, and whoever is at the top of it can control it. So I'm gonna just read a little insert, and the question is, of course, the recession ended. If you can print money, you can fix most economic problems, can't you? It's so easy, it's cheating. It's interesting, and then the person answers, it's interesting that you think that. You're in charge of an economy yourself. You can print as much money as you like. And then the person comes back and says, really? And they say, sure, you don't even have to print it. You can call up your central bank, the Federal Reserve, or the Bank of England, or wherever. So whoever controls the money. All right, we got a quote from Nathan Rothschild, I believe. No, Meyer Amshire Rothschild that said it. All right, I don't care about a nation's army or whatever. Just whoever give me control over the money, I can control the nation, basically. And I got that quote somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, right here. Okay, give me control over a nation's currency, and I care not who makes its laws, by Meyer Amschel Rothschild. Okay, so basically he's telling money is the key, in the sense of that's how they rule. So who would be ruling today? The people that control the money. Who controls the money? The bankers, right? Now on this list of these kings of the world, right? A lot of them are banking families. A lot of them are individuals that rule in banks. These are real, which it's really just through deceit. But we're gonna go into it. So keeping it going. Sure, you don't even have to print it. You can call up your central bank, the Federal Reserve, or the Bank of England, or wherever, and ask the governor to add a few zeros to the sums of money held electronically in the central bank's account. Deciding how much money is in the economy is what central banks do. Okay, right there, it's saying deciding how much money is in the economy. Deciding how much money is in the economy is what central banks do. So the Fed is supposed to be backed by gold, but it's not. It ain't really been no, you know what I'm saying? And we know that because why are we in debt? All right, if you got Fort Knox and it's got all this gold in there, but we're in debt, etc., etc. It's not backed by gold. This is what a Fed does, or a central bank, in the sense it creates inflation. All right, it creates a room for money that's not really there. Where you're hey, let's get that in Habakkuk, man. You know. Oh shoot, where's my sword? I thought it was in here. Let's just go to what's in here. But it creates problems, but it also creates the power structure for these individuals to blue better Bible. These individuals to rule. All right. Well, I can't spell Habakkuk. It'll come up A the water. I don't be using it on the internet like this. I'm gonna have to go get my sword. I don't even know how to go to the next. Right here? Hey, yep, right here. Okay. This is Habakkuk 2 and 5. Okay, and we'll start at 5. Yea, also. Well, I start up. Okay. We just start up because it all goes in. We start at the top. All right. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And Yahawah answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Now, you looking at Revelations 13. Okay, you're looking at Revelations 20, speaking upon this beast system that has to come and has to be set up for an appointed time and then ultimately gets destroyed. So these visions, right, these things, and what's about to be stated down here in the 6th verse is that vision of these Edomites setting up and ruling through a lot of usury. This is how their systems are ran. Usury meaning interest. They charge an interest on everything, where that's not the proper way to treat people, man. And I got a video stating before banks, you had what you would call a barter system, and this is what was common practice in the old world. Okay, 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, etc., etc. You had a barter system where, you got 2 pounds of rice. Let me trade this. Let me get some potatoes, or let me get, a jacket, or let me get this. It was a barter system. Okay, it made sense. Real substance being transferred, and what is always at the top? Gold. This is why when you see Russia, China, the Saudis, and all them coming back and bringing a gold standard, it makes sense, because that's actually real money. You have to actually, it makes sense. It's real. It's substance. A piece of paper, that's nothing. It's really nothing. All right. So the vision is yet for an appointed time. Everything had to come in and take its place. Everything had to play up at a set time, which we're in that latter end of this kingdom of the wicked. This is Esau, 2nd Esdras 6 and 9. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So Esau is that last kingdom, that last world, that last kingdom that is set up, that rules. And then Jacob, the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, will begin their kingdom, that everlasting rule, headed by, Yahawashi, all right, and given to him by Yahawah. Okay, so we're entering into a kingdom of righteousness, and this is something that has to be understood. And I mean, you got to be wicked if you don't want that to happen. You know what I'm saying? If you sitting back thinking that the wicked people are gonna continue ruling, then you're not in your right mindset. You know? Why would you want them to continue ruling when they all they're doing is messing up? All they're doing is overcharging you for everything. They got you in a bind. They're making it where you're paying so many taxes on something. You're paying so much usury, so much interest on a product where it's not even worth that. You know, you triple pay, quadruple pay, whatever that you really getting. And that's how this system is set up. Verse 4, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. We live by faith. Okay, trusting and believing in Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Right? So that's how we gonna make it through. Those that's not, they don't have faith. And faith is it's a gift, man. It's got to be given to you. It's nothing you can really, you can't go out here and go to school and earn faith. It's not, faith comes through, it's just something that's in you. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's predestination, Ephesians 1 and 5, right? Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, by philosophies, all right, doctrines, ways, these doctrines that he puts out. You look at the world, it's completely upside down, right? By all the society. Okay. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. He's insatiable. He wants everything. He wants to take over and rule everything. That's his MO. You can see that. Who is him? We already know who that is. I mean, just look around. Who does that? Right? Who wants to rule everybody? Who's telling you that you should own nothing and be happy? Who's speaking like that? Who is the kings of the world right now? Right? Who's in that ruling seat? You just had that you got Trump just did his little state of the address or whatever, State of the Union. And then before that, you had the big conference, okay, over there in Switzerland and all that. So who was at those places? You had the president of Germany, you had the president of France, the prime minister. You got all these individuals, coming. There's not do we got representation? Did I see a Jake representing us? Was somebody there speaking for us? No. All right. Who's going to speak for us and fight for us? Exodus 14:14. Yahawah. Bahasham Yahawashi is going to fight for us. We don't have no representation at this point in time. This is what our people gotta, if you can't get anything, you gotta get that. Is that we don't have no representation. So your little vote does not matter. It doesn't. It's a quote. If voting actually worked, they wouldn't let us do it. If it mattered, they wouldn't let us do it. I forget who that quote is by, but it echoes, man. Because if voting actually mattered, they would not allow you to participate in it. All right? It's pointless. And you're supposed to vote for a stranger, a strange king. Our king is already set up. He's already ready. And Yahawah just got to send him down here, man. And then that rulership is going to begin. So he transgresseth by wine, by doctrine. He is a proud man, a Esau Edom, neither keepeth at home. He don't stay at home. He's not in Edom. He's everywhere upon this planet. He's in Australia. He's in Africa. He's in Asia. He's in Europe. He's in North America, South America. He's in Antarctica. He's on all the 7 continents. He's everywhere. And then he's in the oceans messing it up. He's under the ocean. He's got bases under the ocean. He's got bases in the sky. He's got space stations flying. He's got all this type of stuff. He's everywhere on this earth. But Edom, Jordan, he's not there. He's everywhere claiming to be everybody else. So he's not a keeper at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death. Everything that he touches, like King Midas, everything that he touches turns to gold. Everything Esau Edom touches turns to death. He kills everything. and cannot be satisfied. He's insatiable. It don't even matter if he took over the world, which he has the world. So that shows you that it don't matter. He got it, and he still, no, he's like, I need more. I need more. But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, with debt. Right? So that's what this man sets up. He ladens himself with thick clay, and then his people. So what he takes on, you take on. The ignorance that he listens to and believes in, you take on and you believe in. The gods that he worship, you worship. It's trickling down. All right. All right. So let's keep going. So let's talk about the Fed. In 1913, opposition to the Federal Reserve Act came primarily from conservative Republicans who favored private banker controlled, opposing the government-run aspects, and progressive Democrats, populists who feared the money trust and Wall Street control. Key figures included Representative Charles A. Lindbergh Sr. and Senator Robert M. L. Folletta, who argued it would create a massive private and uncontrollable financial monopoly. Oh, you don't say. And that's what happened. That's what it did create. Okay, it's not even ran by the government, to be honest. This is ran by what you have, the elites, man. It's a central bank. Okay, disguised under another name, which is the Federal Reserve. So the American people are highly, against a central bank, and they over here thinking that they don't have a central bank. When we can look up who doesn't have a central bank, it's Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea, and Iran. That's it. So America does have a central bank, which is the Federal Reserve. But if you one of those Americans, you like, we don't got a central. You're just in folly, man. It's like giving somebody some poison, but disguising it as candy, and that's what they do to us every day. They killing you softly, and they controlling you openly, but they laughing in the face. All right. So let's go into it more. The Federal Reserve was created on December 23rd, 1913, when President Woodrow Wilson, and these presidents all are puppets. That's what they are. Okay. They're moving, they're being pushed behind the scenes. What you got, a shadow government, which is nothing more than the elites, Lucifer, right? Isaiah 14, okay, and 12. All right, that individual that's fallen from his heaven, fallen from his kingdom. So the shadow government, these banking families, going back right here, all right, Rothschild, Rockefeller, Astor, Collins, DuPont, Kennedy, Lee, Onassis, Russell, Van Duke, Freeman, Indian, Bundy, right, others, Oppenheimer, it's actually a lot of other families too. And these are some of the most notable families. Right? But they're pushing the strings behind the scenes. So Woodrow Wilson, you have what you got in government is lobbyists, right? Individuals that pay and fund your campaign for you to make it, for you to win the election, right? And really, they got a saying, you're not elected, you're selected. So that's what it is. The families behind you, whoever wants you to make it in there, they put you in there. And you have to do good upon their goals, their ideals, their beliefs. So it doesn't matter what that's why politicians always lie. They can tell you whatever, but they gotta do to whoever jumped in their pocket. That's why when Trump, DJT Neuro 47 went down into Venezuela, so they gave him a pat on the back. Hey, good job. You did what we wanted you to do. All right. So Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act into law. The legislation was designed to address financial panics, notably the Panic of 1907, by establishing a central bank. Oh, so it is a central bank with 12 regional banks to manage the nation's money and credit. Right? It's a central bank attached to a central banking system. But like I say, it was disguised under the name the Federal Reserve because the people highly opposed a central bank, but they still got one. And that was, as we stated, that was in December 23rd, 1931. Now, what that other article at? Over here? Yeah. This is when the Titanic sunk. Okay. April 14, 1912. And I brought this out in part 1, but just bringing it back out because this is specifically on the Fed. So you had on the Titanic, you had Jacob Astor, which he lives on through his family because he had a son that wasn't on the ship. So that bloodline, that family continues, and they're still powerful on this planet. They eventually came to America and they set up, and he ruled through illegal trade. He funded a lot of drugs going into China and all of that, So the Astor family, that wickedness kept going. Okay, it didn't die on the Titanic, but you had Jacob Astor on the Titanic that really he opposed the Fed. All right, and you had a couple other big names on the Titanic. You had a lot of wealthy Edomite families, that died. Now, who came out on top that was supposed to be on the ship, but he didn't get on the ship, was J.P. Morgan. This individual that also had insurance through his company. What is it? White Bird. I went into it like two lessons ago, man. But I think it's White Bird or something. But I could type it in. But really, the point being that he had insurance on the ship through his company, which it was like set up where he wasn't the owner, but he owned the company. But the owner of the Titanic belonged to him because he worked from the company. So it was like no ties to JP Morgan. And that's how these Edomites set it up. That's how they have it where it's hard to trace it back to them. They wiser than Daniel, right? So the Titanic sunk April 14, 1912, and the Fed came to be December 23rd, 1913. All the opposition was knocked out. Dominoes, boom, boom, boom. So it was wide, it was open, Let's read this. The Federal Reserve was created on December 23rd, 1913, when Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act into law. Funded to stabilize the U.S. banking system following the panic of 1907, it established a central banking system with 12 regional banks. The system began operating in November 1914, right? And that's all we need right there. I want to get that panic. Where I put it? The Panic of 1907, also known as 1907 Bankers' Panic or Knickerbocker's Crisis. As a matter of fact, let me go back and let's go to Isaiah 10. Right? Because everything that we really just spoke of, it echoes in this. Isaiah 10 and 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. They set these things up, to bro, that's wicked. To set up, to build a ship with the purpose of destroying it, to kill these people, that's highly wicked, bro. That's extremely wicked. So the purpose is like you're building a death trap and you're luring all your people in it. And they're like, oh, look at the shiny big ship, right? And they're going into the ship. They're comfortable. And then you're going to take them out. And that's what happened. That's what transpired. And he got Edomites with that. That's showing you, once again, Esau's Esau's characteristics is where he don't even care about his own people. He sold his birthright for a morsel of meat, man, some meat, some soup, some uncooked soup. So how much more would he care about you if he don't even care about what belongs to him? All right. I was going into the how they colonized America. Now, how they colonized America, Spanish, French, British, Dutch, all right, and the Portuguese. Okay. And what it was, what you gonna see, these are Edomites, definitely. And it's just war just kept breaking out. War just kept breaking out. And you had our people, Northern Kingdom, lining up like they did back in the time of the Assyrian Empire, where the Northern Kingdom was aligning with the Assyrian Empire, and they was making deals, pacts, right, and all of that, because it was a larger power. So you would have certain Gadites aligning with the French, and then certain Gadites aligning with the British, and then they would fight one another. And that's the same thing right now. Right? That's the same thing. Esau has always, he's using Jake, or these heathen nations in general, they align with Jake to get Jake to kill other Jakes. So Esau, when he came to colonize the Americas, he brought with him unaccounted for, he brought with him just a massive amount of war and death and disease, which brings death, pestilence. So going back to that Habakkuk, second chapter, man, he brings death, man, everywhere he goes, man. Right? So woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. That can also go into that definitely goes into their laws. That goes into this Fed, these central banks, which is, as the individual in the beginning, what did he say? It would create a massive private and uncontrollable financial monopoly. So it creates a group of individuals that you can't control no more. The power scale is no longer leveled. You look at the judicial branch, the legislative branch, and the executive branch. It's supposed to be balanced out, where if the executive branch, the president, gets to acting crazy, the judicial branch and the legislative branch can stop that. But no, what do you have? You got executive orders where Trump could say this and pass this, and he don't got to go through Congress. Look at how the man deployed the military on Venezuela, and he did not go through Congress. So the power scale is unbalanced. That's what's going on. The same thing is with the Fed. The power scale is unbalanced. And that's how these Rothschilds, Rockefellers, individuals operate. They don't want no balanced power scale. They want to have all the power in their hand. And these central banks allowed them to do that. Because what did dude say? What did he say? Let's go back. Give me control over a nation's currency, and I care not who makes its laws. Right? So that's what it is, bro. They running it. Now, the Panic Act, the Panic of 1907, I'll just start right here, was a financial crisis that took place in the United States over a 3-week period starting in mid-October, when the New York Stock Exchange suddenly fell almost 50% from its peak. The previous year, the panic occurred during a time of economic recession, and there was numerous runs affecting banks and trust companies. The 1907 panic eventually spread throughout the nation when many state and local banks and businesses entered bankruptcy. The primary causes of the run included a retraction of market liquidity by a number of New York City banks and a loss of confidence among depositors. I ain't even gonna try that one. By unregulated side bets at bucket shops. All right, so just money running out of control, and chaos is what is good for these elite banking families. Is good for these people, because I don't know, and I haven't really done the research into it too much, but I wouldn't put it past them that they orchestrated this. Now, I do know that they run Wall Street. So if this has something, as I said, this has something to do with the New York Stock Exchange, it suddenly fell almost 50%. They're controlling those numbers. They're controlling what comes out. They're controlling this, especially with BlackRock, Vanguard, which are the biggest investment companies and funds in the world, which the banking families operate. They're just front companies for them, you know. So if they want to, let's say they want to take 1,000 shares out of Apple and make Apple fall and plummet down, they could do that. They want to take 1,000 shares and throw it over here and buy 1,000 shares of Dell or whatever and make it rise up. They could do that. They got the money to do that. They control the money, so therefore they control the outlook of the company. They control the perspective, how it's looking, you know. So a panic of 1907, it could have been initiated by them. And I'm just speaking as a man. All right. But the fact is that what they wanted to happen with the Federal Reserve being created definitely happened. It was a lot of key factors coming together. It wasn't just JP Morgan. Yeah, he's a main factor. He's a banker himself. And he funded wars and did stuff of that nature. Just like the Rothschilds, And I think the next part will be on the Rothschilds, because I keep talking about them. I got a lot of stuff on them. But but this was a central bank is just it's a pivotal part, man, of taking over a country. This is why Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, and North Korea, Esau is trying to get them online, get them on board. Those are the last 4 countries that they need to get on board. And then every country will have a central bank where who controls that central bank? These banking families. So then it's easy. It's just a transition to digital currency. That's it. Every central bank just transitions to digital currency, the digital system. How many countries right now are operating in the digital? Let's look that up. As of early 2026, roughly 3 to 11 countries have fully launched a central bank digital currency, CBDC, depending on whether individual Caribbean nations under a single central bank are counted separately. Key launch CBDCs include the Bohemian Stand Dollar, Jamaica, Nigeria, China. So these countries are moving, and you're gonna see hey, we should do a follow-up lesson by the end of this year if we still doing lessons. I pray we out of this bitch soon, man. All right, but you don't see massive amounts of countries on this. Okay, now these are countries that are fully launched CBDCs. Maybe let's look up how many countries are considering, because I know in general off the top, like, shoot, you got Mexico, you got Singapore, you got Philippines, you got the UK. That's a massive amount of countries right there. How many countries are considering? I ain't spelled that right at all. Man, whatever, it's gonna pick it up. Oh, the water. As of mid-2025, 137 countries and currency unions representing 98% of global GDP are exploring a central bank digital currency, up from just 35 in May 2020. So this is it's an agenda that is growing in strength. All right, that's what we see. It's an agenda that's growing in strength. 137 countries, that represents 98% of the gross domestic product, GDP. Make sure that's right. I think that's right. It's off my mind, but GDP. GDP. Yeah, gross domestic product. All right. So, wait, man, where is that? I just had it. It's probably over here. Nah, that ain't it. All right, right here at the water. All right. So, currently, 72 countries are in advanced phases of exploration, development, plot, or launch. Right, and this is why you see Mexico talking about it's gonna be mandatory by February. Okay, UK mandatory by April. You know, and they're backing off of some of those, but it's what they want to do. They want to move into that digital currency system where they, and this ain't, don't tell you this ain't the chip, but this is a precursor of the chip. Right, this will be on your phone. CBDC, Fed Now. Right, these things will be on your phone, and we will have to operate in these things for a time period until they make that chip mandatory. It's just going to be a simple announcement or a simple transition, right? Hey, we're going to go from CBDC to everybody getting chips in their right hand, everybody getting chips in their left hand, everybody getting the Neuralink. All right, you're going to get all your information registered on this chip, and you will no longer need a wallet. You're no longer going to, it's convenience. They're going to start looking at you like they looked at people that didn't take the jabby jab. They're going to look at you like, why you ain't got no chip, bro? Why you slowing us down? Why you slowing us down? Why you not with? Because you're going to be directly connected with the central bank. You're going to be directly connected with the central government, the one world government, the one world banking system, and the one world religion. All right? That's the ultimate goal, and that's what we can see through the spirit of prophecy, man. Let's go back. Let's get Rev 13. Give me that. And 16. Okay? And he causeth all, this beast, okay, these Edomite nations, all right, that's ruling right now, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark, a charagma, in their right hand or in their foreheads. Okay? And that could be anywhere. Because the MOTB, all right, comes in many different forms now. What we're seeing, you can get a tattoo. Okay, you could get it. You could take a pill, and I guess the nanobots is in you. You know, they got I think that one's to track your vitals. They got all these different type of ways that they want to put it out. So they're gonna come in many different forms, many different fashions. It's not just gonna be one company. You got what you had, the CHIPS Act. All right, do I need this anymore? Nah. The CHIPS Act of 2022. The Bipartisan Chips and Science Act of 2022, signed on August 9, 2022, authorizes roughly $280 billion to revitalize U.S. semiconductors, that's chips, manufacturing, R&D, and supply chain resilience. It includes $52.7 billion in direct subsidies and 25% tax credit for constructing advanced chip manufacturing facilities. All right, and this was in 2022. We in 2026. You know, so that infrastructure is already set up. It's already built, and they're moving on to phase 2. Shit, they probably on phase 3. You know, they ready to get active. It's the devil coming down with great wrath, man, knowing he got but a short time. This is why these type of things would be put out. This is an agenda. Now, Esau puts money behind this agenda, $280 billion. An agenda, ICE is an agenda. He put a lot of money behind ICE because that's an agenda. That's his police to bring in this system, which he's trying to bring in. You know? So this CHIPS Act, CHIPS and Science Act, because it works hand in hand. Okay, if we gonna manufacture these chips, that's gonna have everybody's information on it. We got to know the science behind how to put it in them and how to make it work. What did Elon say? He said by 2050. Let's see that. Let me see if I can find that. Elon Musk says He say a lot of shit though. Elon Musk says by 2050, we will live forever. We could rule the galaxy, Padme. All right, where is that? No, that's the Mars. All right, this is one right here. But it was an article on, I think it was Instagram or something. But humans could live for 1,000 years by 2050, ushering in the dawn of practical immortality, futurists say. Some experts warn for this radical change may remain out of reach for many due to societal and economical challenges. Technology futurists foresee advances that will enable humans to live up to 1,000 years. And I saw an article somewhere, it says where we could live forever through nanobots. All right, that he's producing or he's working on right now. You know, but the Most High ain't gonna allow that to happen, man. Let's go to Job. Was that Job? You mean the Job 5? I kind of like this. I'm about to start using this. He disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands could not perform their enterprise. Job 5 and 12. You know? So I got it. I'm about done. So they're not gonna be able to perform their enterprise and move on with everything that they're establishing, everything that they want to do. You know, their enterprise is one world government, one world banking system, one world religion. You know, they may get their foot in the door, but as we know, while they about to eat, he gonna come and take the spoon out their hand and snatch the plate off their table, man. You know, when they're about to fill their belly. When Esau thinking he got everything set up, he got the chip mandatory, he got ICE everywhere, he got the UN troops on the ground, his central banks is in every country. He's a king of the world and he's in his rulership. His kingdom is established. That's his enterprise. Right? When he's at that pivotal moment, he's like, yo, I got these niggas. Hey, you know he be saying that shit. Esau be sitting back talking cash money shit, bro. You know he do. In his little mansion, he be talking cash money shit, I bet. Right? I got these niggas drinking Kool-Aid. I got them drinking Minute Maid. I got them going to McDonald's. I got them eating human flesh. I got them eating babies. I got them doing all this they don't even know. You know, and we try to warn our people and let them know. But hey, if you don't want to know, then you don't want to know, man. You know, some people be like, yo, don't tell me. Just let me enjoy life. Let you enjoy death. That's all good, though. All right. Let me see, man. I'm about to wrap up. Let me see. Panic. I do got these 2 videos. I do want to play this one, but I'm scared to get a copyright because I got a copyright the other day and I ain't trying to go through that. But basically this one, I'm gonna put this in the bio. Okay. This goes into basically the system that was in place before banking system came, which is a barter system. That's what Americans used to do before 1863. They used to barter, you know, and it's about a 12-minute video. It's pretty good information though. But they used to barter, and they used to this is where you get those old world buildings that's still standing. You know, it was just a better way of living. Now we understand, yeah, you had Israelites setting up this nation where you had 7 presidents, Moorish presidents, Israelites, before George Washington. So we helped establish a system of government. We helped establish the way that they live. So you had free Israelites at that point in time. You had enslaved Israelites as well, you know, and you had some of our people helping them rule and establish the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and all that type of stuff. All right, we helped establish this, and just like they did Gad, they you know, hey, we used them. Now fuck them. It's over. Get them out of here. We used them up. That's why you can't serve this devil, bro. Never trust our enemy. Okay, he always looking to stab you in your back. After he uses you up, he's gonna stab you in your back. So just going back to it, topping back to the Fed, is where their agenda always was to create a central bank where they could control everything. As the individual said earlier, they're gonna create a private monopoly financial institution where they're gonna control everything, and that's what happened. When you could barter, what you went to the market with, that's what you earn, that's what you work for. Let's say you was an apple farmer. You coming with all the apples that you got from your apple trees. When you bartering that off, people ain't got apples. They trying to, okay, hey, you got apples? Okay, I got fur coats. You need some fur coats? It's gonna be a cold winter. Oh yeah, I give you about 10 apples. 20, okay, 20 apples for one fur coat, 2 fur coats. All right, let's do it. It makes sense. Hey, I need a horse. Okay, I got this. Okay, let's trade. It makes sense. Real substance, real hard work, not no piece of paper. So the Fed ruined America, but it put the control in the banking families, right? And that's going back to Isaiah 10:1, which we read. That's going back to Habakkuk 2:6, which we read. And furthermore, in this video, which I'm gonna put it in the bio too, this one, this was entitled "The Rothschilds: History of Rothschild Empire and Dynasty" documentary, and I watched about 30 minutes of it. It was pretty good from what I watched. Now, that one, and then I have one more. I'm gonna put all 3 of these. The Rothschilds: History, Richest Family documentary. All right. Now, the census, or what they talked about a lot, was that it was against the law in the 1700s to charge usury, but the Rothschilds was doing it like they was established. That's how they established themselves, through illegal means. Undermined ways, the same as the Astor family, which I brought out the other day. And that's really the same throughout all these families, which you're gonna find out. They all just wicked as hell, bro. Look at these Edomites today, man. These are the same individuals, the ones that's ruling behind in these top corporations. All right, that's that Psalm 64. These secret societies, these secret practices, they commune of laying snares privately, thinking who shall see them. They're sitting back like, all right, we gonna raise taxes on the poor, we gonna drop taxes on the rich. The rich stay richer, the poor get poorer. Hey, but don't beat the slave to the point where they revolt. Don't do that until it's time. So when it's that time, when they want to implement what they call population control, they're gonna come with it. They're gonna send chaos. They're gonna send provocateur agents. They're gonna send individuals to slander and make a protest look violent when it wasn't. But this is how they operate, man. But hey, with that being said, giving all praises, honor, and glory be to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone that rule well and teach well and sincerely taught us this truth. And Shalawam to the Lord's soulful elect. As always, Kwam Yasharahla and a Baba Ball to the wicked kingdom. May Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi destroy this bitch yesterday. Let's get up out of here. If you can't see the light, you're living in darkness, man. Shalawam, Shalawam.